Hey, you read the title, so this is just gonna be how it works. I'm gonna give my take on the movie, no spoilers obviously, then I'm gonna rate it out of 10. A little Atsu meter, or a flame meter, I don't really know. Anyway, let's get into it. So the Five Nights at Freddy's movie has been hyped up for, ever since the first game came out, so as a FNAF nerd, I had unreasonably high expectations for it. And did it deliver? I would say sure. Obviously, it fell off compared to my expectations, but with the whole FNAF lore, it's kind of hard to fit it all in one movie. And I'm kind of shocked they even took some sort of lore-based position in creating the movie, but then again, I didn't realize it was directed with Scott himself. But I am glad that the movie was an enjoyable experience rather than just a shit show. I obviously do have my critiques, can't really get into the specifics because of spoilers, but the basis is that I really wish they leaned into the side of horror more. Like, I felt like in one portion of the movie they had that sort of mindset, but then they kind of just forgot about it moving on. And the actual writing and acting in a couple of scenes were kind of like bizarre. Like, they kind of just fell short in a couple scenes, and some scenes I feel like just didn't belong in the movie or just kind of threw me off in the movie. But there is actually a lot good in the movie, like the hidden Easter eggs and the quotes, and obviously the cameos that are just well deserved. Like, it all just kind of felt like a little love letter to the FNAF fan base, and if you enjoy and somewhat understand the game, you're gonna have a good experience. It's funny because I went with people that don't really care that much about the game, so when some scenes came on that I understand, a lot of the time they didn't. So I could see how most people, if you don't really understand the game, you're not really gonna understand the movie all too well. But I mean, they still had a good time. As said in my last video, I was basically like kissing the screen. I was in the row like second from it, so it's kind of annoying in that regard. There's also some movie hoppers running up and down the lanes like giggling, and it was kind of annoying. And one thing that did shock me is how many kids that were like below 11 that were actually watching the movie. Like, I thought FNAF was pretty much dead at this point, at least like the main games that feature the iconic characters, so it was kind of weird to see like little knee gobblers know the crew. Then again, it seemed like they had no idea about like the lore at all, because they always made some random ass predictions throughout it. But I definitely did. I had some fellow nerds in the theater too, because every single, not getting into spoilers, but every single, FNAF callback, they cheered and clapped, which was pretty sweet. Like, I will say, being completely blunt about the whole movie, like, we've been amping it up for so long. All the introverted iPad kids, watching FNAF videos. You have one chance to actually deliver, every kid's dream in a way. Like, it's all very sweet, like a little indie horror game getting so massive to the point of even like, a movie. So obviously it gives me a bittersweet feeling that's actually finally here after so many rumors, predictions, and oh, the FNAF movie's in the making, and it was all just like a rumor or whatever. But now it's finally done. It's finally finished. So it gives me a bittersweet feeling. I really do wish it really, stuck with me, like a 10 out of 10 great movie. But again, I already had some sort of feeling that, oh, it's gonna be an enjoyable experience, it's just gonna be a little fun project, but it's not gonna be, memorable, like, in a way. Because I mean, to be fair, like, I think the FNAF lore, even if you don't really like the game, it's an interesting piece of content, but there's just so much of it, so fitting it in the movie was just kind of impossible. It sucks, like, not being able to give off spoilers, but I know how it feels to just be spoiled something, so gotta hold back. But yeah, it's definitely it's definitely an entertaining movie, that's what I will say. One thing that is sad for me, this isn't really a spoiler, it doesn't really have any impact on the movie, and he's already mentioned it, but my parasocial ass is kind of sad that Markiplier wasn't in the movie. He's already said this because I'm pretty sure he was, working on his movie when they were filming the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. I got into my, whole Five Nights at Freddy's like phase because of Markiplier. I know a lot of people, it was through Corey Kenshin, but for me, it was Markiplier. So not seeing the king of Five Nights at Freddy's in the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, oh, it was sad, bro. It was unfortunate. Obviously, yes, it has other cameos already in the trailer. Corey Kenshin was in it. That's not a spoiler. It was already in the trailer, and he's already made a video on it, so that's not a spoiler. Don't get mad at me. But not seeing Markiplier in it, it did make me sad. My parasocial ass is wanting him in the movie, but yeah, it's kind of sad in that regard. But yeah, it's a one-time thing, and I feel like it was one of those things where it's like it needs everything, you know what I mean? You know, it just means so much to me. I feel like when it comes to like shows and movies, the main difference is shows stick with me more because I relate to the characters and whatnot. So when the show ends, it gives me like a bittersweet feeling. So I've never really had a movie that really has like done that. Something like Endgame or something, when it ended, I don't care. Infinity War, I don't really care. But Five Nights at Freddy's, like, I've stuck with the characters for so long. Like I was saying, it's my childhood. Like Minecraft and Five Nights at Freddy's were like my childhood games growing up, and you know, some zombies in there too, but it was mainly those two games, Minecraft and Five Nights at Freddy's. So amping up this game and it finally delivering and feeling all the nostalgia and seeing all the cameos and quotes and references, it left a bittersweet feeling when it ended, and seeing all the nerds and it was just a good experience, you know what I mean? I know I shouldn't care this much. I know it's just a movie and I'm being, you know, way too passionate, but I don't know, it's just so important to me, and I really do wish it, you know, delivered according to my expectations, but I'm still grateful that this was actually a thing. So anyway, basically to summarize, I had a good time. I'm happy that it was actually a watchable movie, but I obviously still have my critiques. I think they did alright at tackling the lore in the movie, but I feel like they could have just done better, since I think the FNAF lore is like interesting, sad, and like very twisted, which I feel like they kind of just fell short at representing it in the movie. But as a FNAF nerd, I'm still happy that this heavily anticipated movie is finally here, and that it wasn't completely ruined. It was just a little mediocre. Anyway, for my little flame Atsu meter thing, I'm gonna give the movie a solid a 7 out of 10. Again, I enjoy the movie. I just kind of wish they represented the twisted nature of the lore better, but it's alright. I think I'm just kind of spoiled when it comes to movies and shit. Like when it comes to like Arcane, like it just blew our expectations out of the ball of water, whatever the fuck they say. So when it comes to this movie, I was hoping that would have some sort of like the same effect, but it kind of didn't. Anyway, I need to stop yapping and complaining. I sound like a little child. It's just, it's just be so much to me, so I really wanted it to be like a 10 out of 10. I know a lot of people, they don't give a shit about the FNAF lore, so they were like, oh, it's a pretty good movie, but I'm just like, my nerd self wants a 10 out of 10 movies. That's one thing I'm happy. It's good and didn't have like Power of Love and Friendship where dee or some shit. It was, you know, actually decent. So at least it delivered in that part. But yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna stop yapping. It's one of those movies and shows where it's like I have all of it on my mind. I just can't really say it, and I'll just continue yapping if you give me, you know, the time. But I'm not gonna torture you like that. So anyway, yeah, that has been me. Subscribe if you'd like, and yeah, have a good night. See ya.